Coming to you direct from Silencer Shop Studios, home of the Glass Case of Emotion.
SilencerShop.com, the easiest way to buy silencers online, period.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markle.
Hey, oh man, I'm adding a note to Friday's show, Jared, and I was going to drop it in today's show, but then I realized something about myself. You want to know what I realized?
What?
I realized that this story is so maddening and infuriating to anyone with a reasonable brain, anyone with the ability to think at or to look at things logically and think about them from an intellectual standpoint instead of an emotional standpoint.
Yeah.
If anyone does that, then they will lose it. And I try really hard to make you not hit the deedle button over there. I know we did the other day, but so I decided I'm going to drop that show or that that note into Friday's show. So, kids, I've just put a little goodie into Friday's show for you. So you're welcome. Welcome. Oh man, the title of today's show: Send your kids to Europe. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. It'll be a wonderful experience for them. It'll be a wonderful, life-changing experience. Well, it might be a life-changing experience. I don't know about how wonderful it's going to be, but Jared, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Are we, you and I and Zach, you saw Taken, right? The movie Taken?
I have seen the movie Taken, yes.
Okay. And Zach and Jared, I know you saw it. I think we all saw it, didn't we? As a group, family group?
Yeah. Yeah, no. Every Markle has seen the Taken movie.
Okay, so are we the only people on planet Earth that have seen the movie Taken? And, Taken wasn't a fiction story. It was based on real life. It was based on what actually is going on in Europe and East Asia and so forth, and the Slovak republics and so forth, and Southwest Asia and so forth. And does nobody else get that? I don't understand. Maybe I'm the only one. Maybe I'm just paranoid. You're just a paranoid person. You don't trust anyone. You think that there are bad people in the world, and that's no way to live. Yeah, you're right. You're right there, Mr. Reasonable Man. Oh, before we get any farther, I want to thank Scott and Brad Chapman for the gift that they recently bestowed upon us. And Scott and Brad, if you're listening, Mr. UPS Man did arrive this week. Matter of fact, it was yesterday. Mr. UPS Man arrived yesterday. So thank you. Thank you very much. I will put what you sent to good use. And everyone's out there like, what did they send him? And I'm going to say, they sent me a box of Nanya.
Yeah.
Nanya what?
Nanya business. All right, Jared, give them the email, or I'm sorry, the web address that they should go to save on the Echo trigger.
It's simply studentofthegun.com/echo, ECHO. And you can save, I think it's $50. Is that what it is, Dad?
It is.
$50 on your Echo 2 trigger. Just go to studentofthegun.com/echo. It'll take you where you need to go, and you use the promo code STUDENT at checkout. And now that is ending on October 15th. So if you don't do it before then you won't get the discount.
Yep, you'll just be SOL, so out of luck. You'll be so out of luck. Yes, you will. Hey, Zach, I see you're sporting a new T-shirt there.
Indeed, I am. Yes, I am.
Why?
Because I saw it and I wanted to buy it. It is
You saw it and you wanted to buy it?
That's why I started to talk about that stupid movie. But no, it is indeed a Pennywise shirt, and I like it. And I bought it from Walmart before we went to go see the new It movie.
Yep.
How was the movie?
It was pretty good. I liked the original better, but they were able to do a lot more with, larger budget and the modern technologies of the CGI.
And it was a movie for theaters, not a made-for-TV movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And that's all we're going to. we're going to say about that, but I have noticed that the red and white clown has become the king of all maymays, or at least currently. Everything is a sewer face maymay now. Have you noticed that, Jared? That everything is down there?
Yeah.
He has cigars down there. He has whiskey down there. He has more maymays down there.
He has more maymays.
I have dank memes down here.
I have dank maymays down here. Oh, for people that are now, we don't want to do a spoiler alert because some people are going to go see it. But could I kill Pennywise with things that I have on my body right now?
Ooh, that depends on if you're afraid of him. Because that's kind of the thing, is that if you're not afraid, then he's
less
then
powerful.
he's vulnerable and mortal to a degree.
I ain't afraid of nothing.
So probably a gun would definitely help.
Okay. All right, kids. It is Wednesday, and Wednesday means Fighting Fitness, brought to you by our good friends at SWAT Fuel.
And if you want to save some money on your SWAT Fuel, just simply go to SWATfuelstore.com and use the promo code SOTG2015.
That's right. Save that money on the SWAT box. It's the new all-in-one box. You guys know you like to order the boxes with all the stuff in them, right? Don't you? Oh, Jared, did you see something really cool lately? What our grad program members were doing with their T-shirts?
No.
Well, SWAT Fuel is, well, they're kind and benevolent, and they're pretty doggone cool. And when you order SWAT boxes, they throw in a free T-shirt, right? Well, our grad program people who are our monthly subscribers, I don't know if they do this every time, but they do it quite often. They ask you for your T-shirt size when you order stuff from them. Well, a couple of our guys said, yeah, I've got plenty of SWAT Fuel shirts for me. So when I do my orders, I just change my T-shirt size so I can give them to my kids. So now I have SWAT Fuel shirts and my kids have SWAT Fuel shirts and so forth.
That's cool.
I thought that was pretty cool. I saw some of our grad program members taking pictures of their young ones, their honey badgers with SWAT Fuel shirts on, and that's how they did it. Okay, you guys want me to shut up and you want to hear King Julian, so I'll do it.
Fantastic, big body ocean at the big Titanic, woman and ice, sweet, energetic, big body ocean at the big Titanic, woman and ice, sweet, fantastic, big body ocean at the big Titanic, woman and ice, sweet, fantastic, big body ocean at the big Titanic. I like to move it, I like to move it, I like to move it. Bring your monkey, bring your monkey, bring your monkey.
Back again with Dan Olesnicki, and he is the founder and president of SWAT Fuel. You can check out SWAT Fuel at SWATfuelstore.com. And today we're going to talk about something a little bit deeper than we went before, and that's stem cells. Dan's wrote a book, and it was co-authored. Who was it co-authored by?
Naota Hashimoto, and it's called Demystifying Stem Cells, a Real-Life Approach. And I'm going to read you what Dan wrote for me in this book. He said, I hope you enjoy this quick read. Looks like you're next in line to write a book. So, but the first line here, I hope you enjoy this quick read. And you're like, well, it's stem cells. It can't be a quick read, right? Well, I thought the same thing. I texted Dan and I was like, dude, I'm not a doctor. I don't think this is going to be a quick read for me. But I did. I got through this in 1 or 2 sittings with a cigar. So that's about 1 or 2 hours. It's been a while since I've read the book. It's time for a refresher. I'm sure that I'll learn something new the second time that I read it. But we're going to talk about it today, and we're going to help you demystify stem cells here on the Student of the Gun Radio. Awesome.
So, Dan, where would you start? Like, if somebody doesn't know anything about stem cells, why don't we start there? What is a stem cell?
So a stem cell is your repair robot for the body. And it's kind of neat because God had a plan when God created us. And
you have these little repair robots in your body, which are called stem cells. Now, stem cells will actually differentiate into bone, heart, muscle, all these different things as you grow. And then, a certain amount of those cells just chill out and they hang out until they're needed. But certain parts of your body use stem cells more than other parts, like your bone marrow is constantly making new blood cells, whether they're white blood cells, red blood cells, or platelets or what have you. They're constantly being used and dividing and turning into new cells. And places like the brain and fat tend to turn over very slowly, and those cells are not used as much. But these cells, the stem cells, can pretty much turn into any kind of tissue in the body when they respond to signals of inflammation or distress signals from other cells. And so those are stem cells in a nutshell. There are little repair guys who come in and respond to cries for help from the rest of the body.
So you're saying that instead of traditional surgery, maybe in some cases stem cells would be a better approach.
Well, it just repairs what's broken. I think we're starting to realize that in a lot of cases, surgery should not be the first option, but it should be option number 2 or 3, and look at other ways to heal the original equipment rather than replacing it.
We've got, let's see, chapter 5. You got 5 chapters in the book. Let's see, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Wow, there's a lot of chapters in here. I don't remember there being that many when I read it.
Yeah, but they're super short.
Yeah, they are super short.
That's because I have no attention span.
No, I think actually what you did is instead of puking on the reader, you simplified everything down to the base level.
That's kind of what the intent was. It's a patient guide, not a owner's manual for the rocket scientist position. So Just got to keep it simple.
Yeah, and you've got 2 chapters here on the basics. So why don't you go over what are some of the stem cell basics?
Well, stem cells, first thing you have to say is, where do you get the stem cells from? Well, ideally you get them from your own body, from a part of your body where the stem cells are genetically very young and that you don't really need. They're just kind of sitting on the beach not doing anything. A lot of people think that stem cells are gotten from chopping up babies, from abortions. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is autologous stem cells, which is your own stem cells from your own body being injected back into your body after they're purified, and they go to repair your tissue. And again, you don't have any issues with matching, which we call HLA matching. You know how in organ transplants and things like that, you have to have a donor that has the same genetic code so you don't reject the organ transplant, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's not an issue if you're taking your own stem cells and putting them right back into your own body. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Now, where in your body do you get them?
There's a few places you can get them from. You can get them from blood. You can get them from bone marrow. And the place that we get them from, and again, I do stem cell transplants on a regular basis. That's one of the medical practices that I'm in. We actually get them from fat. And most Americans, even if you're skinny, have enough fat that you can actually harvest really good fat-derived stem cells and inject them back into the body. So essentially, we take a little liposuction, 60 cc's of fat, essentially right off your ass. So
I'm going to go out and I'm going to eat a bunch of fat. Now I'm going to go eat some cake and ice cream.
Well, I think with you, we have enough already, so I wouldn't store up for this. We're good. So we all have enough.
I'm trying to find it here in the book, but I can't find it. The ratio of stem cells found in fat versus bone marrow versus blood. There's
actually a lot in the fat. The thing is, we can suck out enough fat that we get what we need. Here's the issue with stem cells derived from fat, and it is what's called the telomere. Okay, the telomere is the end cap of DNA, and they're essentially, they used to think it was junk DNA, but it's not. It's a genetic time clock. So every time your DNA divides, those end caps get shorter, and at some point they get too short. And the reader that reads the DNA and allows it to duplicate can no longer bind to DNA, and then that DNA is useless. That cell then dies of old age. So stem cells have only a certain amount of divisions before they die. And stuff that's constantly being used, like blood and bone marrow, which is constantly being turned over, and those cells are constantly dividing, they are as old as you are or older. HIV, the human immunodeficiency virus, HIV disease is a constant infection that affects white blood cells where they have to multiply and fight the virus. And they essentially keep turning over and fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting the virus until essentially your immune system dies of old age. That's the whole point behind it. So we don't want to use old cells. We want to use young cells. Fat cells are amazing because once they create the fat, they just chill and they do nothing. So in a 95-year-old person, their fat cells may be 40 years old genetically.
Wow.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's why we use them.
So the fat cells can be older than the other places where you would harvest stem cells.
They're actually genetically younger when you're looking at the telomere length.
Yeah.
So they may, physically they're still just as old as the rest of you. But when you're looking at the DNA length, because they're not constantly having to divide, they're actually younger on a DNA level than the rest of your body that's getting worked.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Well, that means if you're 25 years old, you can suck out those cells and essentially put some back into your body, but freeze the rest. And you can take those and you can actually divide them at different periods, but you can probably divide it and inject a dose of stem cells into your body every month until you die. And what's kind of interesting, what we're looking at is these cells will actually go and repair the parts of your body that need repair. And there's a lot of talk about people really being able to extend their lifespan to like 120, 130, 140, 150 years if they do this. So a lot of our clients right now are professional football players, actors, people who own very large companies, like IT companies, billionaires. And we harvest them once, and then we cryobank it, and then they actually get these really young stem cells put into their body, regenerating their bodies, and they're doing stuff they haven't done in years because they're actually able to repair themselves. It's amazing. I mean, it absolutely blows the mind.
That is insane. So my question is, how do the stem cells know what to fix?
So the body is very interesting. It has these proteins, which are called cytokines. Cytokines are proteins that have a cellular message or a cellular signal, or what we would understand as a text or an email. And those different cytokines tell the body, hey, we need help here. We need something, to go here and either attack a cancer or this or that, or we have something's broken and we need to repair it. So cytokines will tell you that there's either an injury or an invasion, typically.
So that's how you know. How do you figure out where to treat your body with this, and if stem cells can even help?
Well, anything that's damaged can be repaired. If there's inflammation and there's damage and it's active, the body will release those cytokines. So when you twist your ankle, how does it feel the next day or 2 days later? It's bubbled up, it hurts, It's hot, it's inflamed, right? That's all cytokines. That will tell your body, hey, send stem cells here. So they go around the body, they encounter those cytokines, and there's all these different cellular signals. They know where to go. Now, do we know exactly how it works? No, we don't. But we know it works. So again, maybe 50 years from now, we'll know how to more efficiently deliver it. But right now, all we know is when we release those cells into the body, they go to where the inflammation is. If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah. How do you harvest the stem cells?
So we actually do liposuction from the butt, and we just suck it out with a catheter and take about 30 cc's to 60 cc's of fat. And it's just done through a little poke in the skin, and then we get it from underneath the top layer of fat just underneath the skin. It's done under local anesthesia, and people go home. I mean, the procedure takes 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
That's it. And then you get a compression bandage and a Band-Aid, and you're good to go after that. We take about 2 hours to process the sample, 2 to 3 hours to process the sample, purify it, and get everything ready. And then it's injected into your body wherever you need it.
And you just inject it with a regular syringe?
Absolutely.
In addition to physical injuries, have you tested the stem cells with brain injuries or something like that?
So we're part of a very large stem cell network, and there's well over 5,000 cases. We may be up to 10,000 cases. We're doing clinical trials with traumatic brain injury, spinal cord transection, lupus. We're doing it with cancer. We're doing trials with rheumatoid arthritis, Parkinson's disease, after heart attacks, after surgeries, after major trauma. And in just about everything, stem cells have increased the amount of healing and decreased the amount of time. And joints and bones, that's like Tinker Toys now. So, if you got a bad knee, a hip, or a shoulder, you don't necessarily need surgery. You can actually repair a lot of that with stem cells, and it's just truly amazing.
If I wanted to harvest my stem cells now and say I injured myself in 25 years, would you still be able to use those same stem cells?
If they're frozen, yes. Here's the thing. Stem cells, the insurance doesn't cover it. Okay, so this is all people kind of investing in it on their own. And this is something insurance doesn't cover, and people essentially have to pay out of pocket for. It all depends on what your budget will allow. These professional football players who are required to stay in top physical shape, and especially as they get older, they get injured more. These are the guys who make, over $1 million a year, and they can afford pretty much anything. So they have their cells harvested, and then they have them frozen, and a special lab will take those cells and multiply them so that they get, say, 10 million cells a dose, and those are injected into their bodies once a month. Okay. That is not what I can afford. People are like, "Oh, you're a doctor, you own a nutrition company, you got all this money." Well, I'm actually middle class, so I'm not Daddy Warbucks here. And I'm like a lot of Americans. I could potentially put the money away and do a stem cell transplant, but certainly doing stem cell transplants once a month is way out of my league. Okay. And that's really for, if you want to take it to the extreme. To do a stem cell transplant harvest and deployment is typically, I think the street price is about $9,000. Okay. So it's not cheap. Okay. And that's just the surgical procedure and the harvesting of the first sample. After that, if you want to have it frozen, you have to go to a special cryobank. The one we use is Cells on Ice. And I think it's about $5,000 to get it frozen and expanded. And I think per time that you want to have an expansion and, redeployment, I think it's about $5,000 a pop. So the first time is expensive, okay, because you're actually doing a surgical procedure, harvesting it, purifying it, getting the stem cells out, and that's the toughest one because it requires the most work. So that ticket will probably be about $14,000 for the whole thing, okay, because you're adding the cryobanking to it if you want. After that, it's about $5,000 per dose because that you're no longer having to harvest it. You're just getting it from the cryobank in the future. And you can do that pretty much until the end of your life.
They actually multiply your stem cells for you. You only have to harvest them one time.
That is absolutely correct.
That's interesting. So that cost is only incurred once.
Correct. It's really the cryobank that and their work. It's really labor intensive. You're talking about scientists sitting there with petri dishes, separating cells. They have growth media. They have cold storage. It is really cutting edge technology. It's expensive to do. These are not people making buckets of money off of you. This is an expensive process to do, but it is cutting edge technology that you're paying for you. So it's actually money well spent. The issue is really you're looking at $5,000 like that per pop, but the harvest is, again, it's a surgical procedure. So that's about $9,000. You might be able to get it for a little bit less. I'm sure, people will cut deals here and there. But, again, that is also a procedure. It costs money to, use enzymes, and you got equipment, staff to pay, OR fees, all this other stuff. So it tends to be about $9,000 just for the harvest. But you only have to do that once, which is kind of cool.
Well, and the way that I'm looking at this is that you can spend $9,000 to $14,000 to get something that is that works, or you could spend. I had shoulder surgery, and it was about $28,000. The surgery itself worked, but the post-surgery advice that I got wasn't the best. So I wasn't doing any lifting, or all I was doing was stretching the muscles in my shoulder. And I could have recovered faster. Now, what's the recovery look like for stem cell transplants? All right, guys, that is part 1 of Demystifying Stem Cells with Dr. Dan Olesnicki from SWAT Fuel. We'll pick up with part number 2 next week. Now, go check out SWATfuelstore.com and use the promo code SOTG2015 if you want to save yourself some money.
All right, let's thanks to some of our friends, and in addition to SWAT Fuel, and thank you to Dr. Dan. We do appreciate him sharing his wealth of knowledge with us, the student of the gun audience. Thank you to Crossbreed Holsters for allowing us to be armed citizens all the time, not just sometimes, but all the time. Zach, you wanting to say something?
No, I'm just trying to clean my phone screen off of my jeans.
Is that that's why you're leaning forward?
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm in the studio with Zachary. Jared is in the satellite studio. And Zach leans forward towards his microphone, and I think he wants to say something. And it turns out that he's just leaning forward because he's cleaning his phone screen off on his jeans. Welcome to my life.
To be fair, my face was like 8 inches to the left of my microphone. But Satellite Studios, is that like the Justice League base?
Yeah, exactly. It's like the Justice League base. Go to crossbreedholsters.com and check out all their wares and stuff. They get a lot of things. You can spend quite a long time on crossbreedholsters.com. Froglube, green, minty fresh, bio-based. It is a firearms lubricant that was designed per the request of the United States Department of Defense because they wanted a non-petroleum firearm lubricant. So Froglube did it. It's a veteran-owned company, and you should check them out at froglube.com. Or you can get Froglube products from your favorite retailer, Ask, and you can get them from Brownells, too. So there you go. Century Arms, the sweetest smelling arms maker in the U.S. of A. And we're going to be sharing some photos and videos of our time at the range with the Underfolder. The Underfolder, the NPAP, packs a punch. You can get NPAP rifles from Century. Check them out at centuryarms.com. DuraCoat, because life is too short to have an ugly gun. If you'd like to know more, if you'd like to research and find out what they have, and they have a lot of stuff. Jared, I forgot yesterday, I was talking about that they have the DuraDyes. Yeah. It looks like anodizing. All you guys out there that anodize aluminum parts, and you say, oh, anodizing looks really cool on aluminum parts, right? You can do that in your garage, in your workshop, outside, behind your house. I don't care where you do it. Do whatever you want. But the fact of the matter is, you sitting out there listening to the audience, can do it yourself. You can DIY thanks to the can-in-can technology from our friends at DuraCoat. You don't have to be a master DuraCoat applicator. You don't have to have compressors and hoses and airbrushes and all that stuff. I mean, that's cool if you do. And I know some of you guys out there have some serious artistic skills, but if you don't, it's cool too. You can do your own project. Check those guys out at lauerweaponry.com.
Attention, new listeners. We produced a free training video series called 7 Training Tips That Could Save Your Life. We want you to have access to this life-saving information. Get instant access now at studentofthegun.com. Do you watch Student of the Gun TV, read the blog, and follow us on Facebook? If you answered no to any of those questions, you are wrong, but you can easily fix yourself. Go to studentofthegun.com to find everything SOTG.
That sounded like the Underfolder going off right there. Hey, Zach, did you shoot the Underfolder?
Yes, I did shoot the Underfolder.
Yeah, Zach, actually. He was like a Soviet Spetsnaz paratrooper guy.
Except I didn't have a giant jacket to help cushion it.
Yeah, except he didn't have a big winter Soviet coat to cushion that metal stock against his shoulder. You got sometimes you just gotta man up, man, and lean into that metal stock and just do it.
And I did.
And he did it. The Underfolder, that sounded like an Underfolder right there. But we're not going to talk about that today. No. We're going to do a follow-up field report on the Mossberg Shockwave. Now, last week we discussed it and we considered whether it was practical and yada yada. And during the Facebook Live, I showed you guys. I held the little Shockwave shotgun up and I held it to the camera so everyone could see it. Now, in that time, we've actually gone to the range and we have shot it. And I fortunately I save things, and fortunately I'm one of those gun guys that has boxes and cans and Rubbermaid totes full of ammo. And I picked up a box of the mini shells, right? The Aguila mini shells in double-aught buck. I picked up a box of them over a year ago. And you know who told me to do it? Jared? You probably were there when he mentioned it.
Who was that?
It was Zach Hall. Because Zach Hall said, he goes, you can shove 24 of those into a KSG shotgun, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And I was like, wow, you can? So I was at Dad's Super Pawn in Gulfport, and I saw that they had a bunch of them. So I was like, yeah, I'll grab a box. What the heck? And I did, and I got busy living my life and doing things and moving the entire business to Wyoming, and I didn't shoot them all up. And I'm glad now that I didn't, because you can't find them anywhere. But I did, I took it, and I misspoke on the Facebook Live. I said that the little mini shell adapter that you can buy off of Amazon to make sure that your shells run, that they cycle reliably in your shotgun. I said it was from a company in Texas called OTC. It's OPS or Opsol Mini or what have you. So the company, and I feel bad now because I misspoke their name, but it is OPSOL, Opsol, Texas. And I know you can get them from Amazon because that's where I got mine. So here's the dealio. The shells, obviously they're shorter than normal shells. And if you're running them really fast and you're inverting the gun, there is a chance that when you eject it from the magazine tube that it can go nose up and not load properly. You don't want that, right? So you grab this little Opsol mini clip and you stick it up in the gun, and it's super easy to install. And guess what? It runs. It makes them run just fine. Now, here's the trick. When you got the little mini shell adapter, when it's in your gun, that's all you can run in it is the mini shells. All right. You can't switch back and forth to regular full size 2 3/4 and go back down to the 1 1/4. You guys get that? Or 3/4. You get that, right? All right. So I shot the double-aught buck mini shells in it, and as I expected, the recoil was very, very light. Imagine if you're shooting a full-size 24-inch shotgun, right? You got a shotgun with a stock, 24-inch barrels, and you put a light birdshot load in it. That's about how the recoil felt, okay? Then we switched to a Federal 1-ounce birdshot. It was what they call I think they called it their light game load. Shot that. And it felt recoil. I mean, this gun, this little Shockwave gun, I'm not sure what the total weight on it is. I think it's probably around 4 pounds or so. It's not very heavy at all. So, the felt recoil was a little bit more, but not too bad. After that, so we shot the mini shells. Then we shot the birdshot, a 1-ounce load. Then we moved up to Federal's tactical buckshot. If you guys have been missing out, if you guys are still going to Walmart and buying the high brass silver box hunting buckshot, you're killing yourself for no reason. You are. Jared, I was shopping for shotgun ammunition, and I was kind of, torn by all of the shotgun ammunition that's called either high speed or high velocity or whatever. Essentially, you're beating yourself up with very little benefit on the end of it there. If you're talking about using a shotgun for home defense and you're going to be shooting a bad guy anywhere from 3 to 5 to 7 to 10 yards away, maybe 15 yards away, you don't need high brass buckshot that's going 1,350 feet per second. Brothers and sisters, 15 yards is not that far. So what Federal did is they said, we know this, we understand this, and we know that police officers. When I first became a cop, Jared, can I do a little old time copy story confessions here?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of guys out in the audience are old time cops, and they're like, yeah, I know. When we would go out to train with our shotguns, we had to qualify with, the double-aught buck in the shotguns. And what the chiefs and the sheriffs at the time would do is they would just run down to Walmart or the local hardware store, and they would buy a whole bunch of boxes of the high brass Winchester red shell hunting double-aught buck. And that's a shoulder killer, And you're not just shooting 5 rounds, you're shooting, dozens and dozens of rounds of that high brass. And it was really pointless. Anyway, Federal got real smart, and they came up with a lower recoil. I think it's like 1,250 feet per second, and a double-aught buck and number 1 buck. And they have this flight control wad. And the flight control wad keeps the shot pattern very, very tightly together until it gets far away. Now, they developed it originally so that they could shoot, flying things like ducks and geese and so forth that are way high up there. And you really need your pattern to stay nice and tight until it gets 25, 30, maybe even 40 yards away from the muzzle. And then it opens up, right? Well, somebody over at Federal said, hey, I got an idea. Let's put the flight control wads in this tactical buck, and we'll have really tight, consistent patterns from the buckshot. And brothers and sisters, let me tell you what, it did, and they do, and it's amazing. And until you put it on paper or cardboard, you're not going to believe it. Now, I've got some pictures to share with you guys on our social media and some videos as well. So pay attention to Student of the Guns Facebook and Student of the Guns Instagram, and you're going to see that stuff. Obviously, the tactical buck was a little bit, the recoil was a little bit greater out of the minigun, the Shockwave, but it wasn't bad. It didn't hurt. I mean, I didn't walk away and my hands weren't stinging. Okay. So I thought you guys would appreciate that. Take a look at, like I said, we're going to have videos to share. And I know it's hard describing things on the radio because you guys want to see pictures and you want to see videos and so forth. But you have some patience, And I know the Shockwave shotguns, they're really popular right now. If you can find one, if you can find them for less than $400, I'd pick it up. It's worth having. All right. Main meat of the story today. Send your kids to Europe. They'll be fine. Well, maybe. And this story broke this weekend, and we put it in the show notes. And let me see. From the dailymail.com. That's right. It's a British news agency. Exclusive. 4 female Boston College foreign exchange students were sprayed with acid at Marseille train station, pictured here as 2 of them suffered facial burns and others suffered burns on their bodies. This is interesting. Who is it in the world? Which religion of peace and brotherhood and love is it that likes to throw acid on women for being infidels? I don't know. You tell me. Now, what's interesting about this story is I'm scrolling through it here. Now, when I first got it, it had the pictures of the victims. They went to their Facebook pages, and that's what you do when you're a news agency. You just find the names, go to the Facebook pages, and pull images from the Facebook page. You're like, okay, cool. Then I scroll down farther, and there's a picture of the train station. That's important to have a picture of the train station. Then we have related articles. We have a second picture of the train station. So you've got different angles of the train station. Jared, they pulled the train station photo from Shutterstock. Then you go down, and you go down, and you go down. You just keep on going down, and you get to the bottom of the story, and you're like, well, there's no suspect. There's no picture of the attacker in this case. And you're like, that's odd. Isn't that odd, Jared? That they could research the internet and find pictures of the victims and pictures of the train station and pictures of, usually we get pictures of police officers just standing around on the corner holding their guns, because that's always makes for good media. They couldn't find a picture of the attacker. Now, it said acid attack took place at the Gare de Marseille Saint-Charles station on Sunday. 4 American tourists, all girls from Boston College or exchange students, were attacked and sprayed with acid. And it has the names. Now, they listed the names of all the victims. Then they said a 41-year-old attacker used a cleaning substance containing hydrochloric acid. Okay. Then it says after carrying out the assault, the woman displayed photos of her own burns. Okay. French prosecutors are not, quote, not investigating this as an act of terror. Why would they? So they have the woman in custody, right? Says she has deep psychological problems. So the attacker is in custody and she has deep psychological problems and blah, blah, blah. So where is her mugshot? Oh, it's not here. Where is her name? Oh, it's not here. Interesting. Now, if you do a little bit more research, you say, well, this is just one. What are we always told? Like the guy in that went into the gay club in Orlando and whacked a whole bunch of people down there. What were we told? That he had serious psychological problems. Yeah, he was a Hodge. Oh no, being a Hodge had nothing to do with it. It didn't. No, he had psychological problems. Yeah, well, when you voluntarily become a member of the largest death cult in the world, I'm going to go ahead and say you have psychological problems. When you think that it's okay to throw acid in the face of women because they're being immodest, you have psychological problems. When you fornicate with goats, psychological problems. So you say, well, the Paris cops are playing this down. They're like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it is, but not really. This is just one person. And, except if you're a smart person and you know how to use the internet to do research, you can find out that this year, last year, there were more than 450 acid attacks in London, just in the city of London alone, not all over Europe, but just in London. According to the, what do we have here? The Communist News Network pulled a source from the British police, and they said in the year 2016, there were 454 incidents of women having acid thrown in their faces by whom? Well, who's doing this, Jared? Who is it that's throwing the acid in the faces of women all over London and Europe and so on and so forth? Oh, and they're spraying. They're doing men too because I guess they're immodest. But who's doing this?
I think it's the Buddhist monks over there.
It's the damn Buddhist monks again.
Yeah,
they're at it. So the French are over in Marseille, and they're like, "Oh, this is just one lone deranged woman, and she has serious mental problems." Okay, so what is her name, and can we get a picture of her? No, we don't think that you need to see that. Because why? Maybe that doesn't hold with the narrative. Now, I've got another narrative here. In case you were thinking of sending your kids, whether teenagers or college age or whatever, in addition to all the acid attacks on the infidels by members of the Religion of Peace and Brotherhood, we got a story here from GatesstoneInstitute.org from January of 2017. Germany's migrant rape crisis, tolerating a rape culture to sustaining a political correct stance on mass migration. Well, so if your daughter goes to Europe and doesn't get acid thrown in her face by members of the Religion of Peace and Brotherhood, well, then she might just get raped, because they're raping. They have what they're calling in Germany, and we know this is also going on in Sweden. We know it's also going on in London. We know it's also going on in France. They're calling it a rape crisis. Now, Jared, if you had a daughter who was, 18, 19, maybe 17, would your number one thing on your list be, hey, honey, would you like to go to Europe and broaden your horizons? It'll be a life-changing experience for you.
Not at this point in time, no.
Yeah, it will be a life-changing experience for you. Having acid thrown in your face and being raped, probably life-changing experience, just not for the better. Oh, you just think everyone's bad and wants to rape and throw acid in their faces. Yeah, that's what I think, because I know how to read. All right, that's it. I'm not going to talk about anything else. And it's like we talked about, was it Monday or Tuesday, about these weak, spineless parents, that violence is never the answer, and everyone is beautiful in their own way, even rapists and Muslim missionaries who want to throw acid in my daughter's face. Yet they're all just beautiful in their own way. We were censored recently. And when I say censored, I don't mean somebody said we don't like you and we don't like what you say. The YouTube, as many of you may know, we decided to expand our distribution, or to help you guys find another way to listen. So Jared and Zachary started putting audio streams of every radio show as a YouTube link. And, they decided that one of our shows was so, and this is a public show, this wasn't a grad program hour, was so offensive, and how it violated their community guidelines, that they pulled it down and removed it. And their excuse to us was violated community guidelines. Well, I'm not going to be censored. And so what we're going to do on Thursday, the show is apparently so powerful that it's making the socialist liberal puke bags of the world nervous. So we're going to do it as a best of. And I want you guys, if you never share Student of the Gun Radio, I want you to share Thursday's show. Okay? Can you guys do that for me? All right. So tomorrow, Thursday, will be a best of. It's going to be episode 621, Socialism Always Results in Violence. Listen and figure out why the left is so afraid of that episode. Until then, remember, you're beginning once, student for life.